There comes a moment in every person's life when the world feels too loud. The conversations lose their warmth. The laughter feels distant. And even in a crowd, you start to feel invisible. That quiet ache you feel inside, that is not weakness. It is a calling to return to yourself, to stop chasing connection outside, and to discover the deeper connection that lives within you. Being alone is not the same as being lonely, yet we often mix the two. We fear solitude because we have been taught that happiness only exists in togetherness. From the time we are young, we are told to make friends, to stay busy, to keep moving. But no one teaches us how to sit with ourselves, how to listen to our own heartbeats, or how to find peace in silence. Modern life makes it even harder. We live in a world that never stops talking. Phones buzz, screens glow, and we scroll endlessly to fill the quiet. We are connected to everyone, yet deeply disconnected from ourselves. And so when silence arrives, it feels strange, almost frightening. Because in that silence, we start hearing our own thoughts we have ignored for too long. But what if silence is not something to run from, but something to welcome? What if solitude is not a dark, empty space, but a doorway to peace, clarity, and truth? Being alone can become your greatest teacher. It can show you who you really are when the noise fades away. It can teach you how to love yourself without needing anyone else to fill the gaps. And it can reveal that the most powerful relationship you will ever have is the one you have with your own soul. This book is your gentle companion through that journey. It will not tell you to isolate from the world. Instead, it will help you understand how to enjoy your own company, how to create peace within, even when life around you feels uncertain. You will learn to turn silence into a song, solitude into strength, and loneliness into love. Each chapter is a small step deeper into your own heart. We will explore the difference between being alone and being lonely. We will uncover why so many of us fear solitude, and how that fear can become freedom. By the end, you will not only feel comfortable being alone, you will feel empowered by it. So take a deep breath. Let go of the need to be constantly surrounded. This is your moment to reconnect, to rediscover, and to rise. Let us begin the first step of this peaceful journey. In the next chapter, we will explore one of the most misunderstood ideas of all, the true difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Because once you understand that difference, everything begins to change. Chapter 1. Understanding the difference between alone and lonely. There is a quiet truth hidden in plain sight. Being alone and feeling lonely are not the same. They might look alike from the outside, but inside, they are worlds apart. You can sit in a crowded cafe and still feel lonely. You can walk alone through an empty street and feel peaceful and whole. Loneliness is not about how many people are around you. It is about how connected you feel to yourself. When you are lonely, there is a kind of emptiness that echoes inside. You might feel unseen, unheard, or unloved. You may crave someone's presence, not just for company, but to fill a void. Yet even when you get attention or affection, the feeling often returns. That is because loneliness cannot be healed by others. It is healed only by the connection you build with your own heart. When you sit quietly and truly listen to yourself, when you allow your emotions to be seen and accepted, the ache begins to soften. Being alone is something completely different. It is not an empty space. It is an open space. It is a pause in the middle of life's noise. It gives you room to breathe, to think, and to feel freely. In solitude, you find clarity that constant company can never give. You learn who you are when the world goes quiet. You begin to understand your needs, your dreams, and your rhythm. Solitude is not an absence of connection. It is the beginning of real connection with yourself. Still, most people confuse the two. From childhood, we are taught that togetherness equals happiness. We are told to be social, to stay busy, to always have someone by our side. So when we find ourselves alone, we think something is wrong. But solitude is not a problem to fix. It is a power to embrace. It is in solitude that the mind clears, the heart heals, and the soul grows quiet enough to listen. Loneliness often appears when we avoid solitude, because in solitude, our true feelings surface. We start noticing the pain we have been hiding. We meet our insecurities, our regrets, our fears. It can feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort is also a doorway. It is through that door that peace enters. When you stop running from yourself, you discover that what felt like loneliness was only your own voice asking to be heard. Being alone is also the birthplace of creativity and strength. When the world is quiet, new ideas begin to grow. Your imagination stretches. Your thoughts find space to move. You start to see patterns, insights, and beauty that go unnoticed in the rush of daily life. Many artists, writers, and thinkers throughout history have spoken of solitude as their sacred space. In silence, they met their truest selves, and that self gave birth to art, wisdom, and truth. But solitude is not only for creation, it is also for restoration. Just like the body needs rest to heal, the soul needs alone time to recover. To sit quietly with yourself is to come home. It is the act of remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. The more you practice being with yourself, the less you fear silence. You begin to see that loneliness was never the enemy. It was only the shadow that appears before the light of self-connection. So the next time you are alone, do not rush to escape it. Put down your phone, turn off the noise, and breathe. Let the stillness hold you. Let the quiet teach you. You will start to notice that being alone is not a gap to fill. It is a space to grow. And in that space, you are never truly lonely, because you are finally with yourself, the one companion who never leaves. This is where your journey begins. To move from loneliness toward peace, from emptiness toward wholeness. In the next chapter, we will explore why we fear being alone. Because before we can find comfort in solitude, we must first understand the roots of our fear. Only by facing that fear can we discover the freedom that lives on the other side. Chapter 2. Why we fear being alone. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by people. We are held, cared for, talked to, and taught that being with others is safety. Our families, friends, and society tell us that connection means belonging. So when we find ourselves alone, it feels unnatural. We begin to feel uneasy, as if something important is missing. But this fear of being alone is not a sign of weakness. It is a misunderstanding that has been built over years of conditioning. We fear solitude because we have learned to depend too much on noise. Silence makes us nervous because it leaves us face to face with our thoughts. When there are no distractions, we begin to hear our doubts, regrets, and worries. We start to feel emotions we have avoided for too long. In a busy world, we can escape ourselves easily. But in stillness, there is nowhere to hide. And that truth can be frightening. Many people use constant activity to avoid this fear. They fill every moment with talking, texting, scrolling, or working. Not because they love being busy, but because they are afraid of stopping. Afraid that if they slow down, they might have to feel what lies beneath the surface. Yet peace never comes from running. It comes from stopping long enough to understand. The fear of being alone also grows from the stories we tell ourselves. We think, if I am alone, maybe I'm unwanted. If no one calls me, maybe I do not matter. These thoughts create pain that feels like proof. But in reality, being alone says nothing about your worth. It simply means you are in your own company for a while. And that company can be beautiful once you stop judging it. Another reason we fear solitude is because it reminds us of uncertainty. When we are with others, life feels predictable. But when we are alone, We must rely on our own guidance. We have to make choices, listen to our intuition, and face the unknown. This responsibility can feel heavy at first, but hidden inside it is freedom. The freedom to create your own path without noise or influence. It helps to remember that solitude is not isolation. Isolation is when you cut yourself off from the world. Solitude is when you connect more deeply with yourself. It is not a prison. It is a sanctuary. The more time you spend in solitude, the more comfortable you become with silence. And slowly, the fear begins to fade. You start realizing that being alone does not mean being unloved. It means you are strong enough to stand in your own light. Facing this fear takes practice. At first, the quiet might feel strange, even heavy, but try sitting with it for a few minutes each day. Breathe, listen, and notice what arises. You might discover that your fear is not as big as you thought. You might even start to enjoy the peace that comes with solitude. Every time you face your fear of being alone, you take back your power. You stop being controlled by the need for constant company. You start choosing when and how to connect, not from need, but from love. That is the first step toward emotional freedom. It is not about escaping people. It is about no longer escaping yourself. So instead of asking, "Why am I alone?" begin asking, "What can I learn from this moment?" Let the quiet teach you. Let the silence reveal you. For within your fear of solitude lies your path to peace. And in the next chapter, we will discover how to turn that solitude into your greatest strength. Chapter 3. Turning solitude into strength. Once you stop fearing solitude, you begin to see it differently. What once felt like emptiness starts to feel like space. Space to breathe, to reflect, to heal, and to grow. Solitude becomes a quiet room inside your mind where you can finally hear your own voice. It is in this space that strength begins to form. Not the kind of strength that shouts, but the kind that stands calm and steady, even when the world shakes. When you are always surrounded by noise, you start to forget what your own thoughts sound like. The opinions of others begin to guide your choices. The world tells you what success should look like, what love should feel like, and who you should become. But when you are alone, that outside voice fades, and in its place, a deeper voice appears, your own. It is soft at first, but the more you listen, the clearer it gets. That voice is your truth, and solitude gives it the room to speak. Being alone teaches self-reliance. You learn that you can take care of your emotions, make your decisions, and face challenges without always leaning on others. This is not about rejecting help or connection. It is about knowing that your peace does not depend on anyone else. It is the difference between needing someone and choosing someone. When you are strong within yourself, relationships become healthier. You love from wholeness, not from emptiness. Solitude also builds emotional balance. In the quiet, you learn to observe your thoughts instead of reacting to them. You notice your moods rise and fall like waves, and you begin to understand that you are not your feelings. You are the one who experiences them. This awareness gives you power. You stop being ruled by temporary emotions. You become grounded, centered, and patient. There is another gift in solitude: creativity. When your mind is not busy pleasing or performing, it begins to explore. New ideas appear. New connections form. The world's greatest thinkers and artists have always known this. They sought solitude not as escape, but as inspiration. In stillness, imagination grows wild and free. So if you feel restless when you are alone, try creating something. Write, draw, sing, build. Let your solitude express itself. But perhaps the greatest strength solitude offers is clarity. When you are alone, the fog begins to lift. You start to see what really matters to you. You notice which dreams are truly yours, and which ones you borrowed from others. This clarity becomes a compass that guides your actions. You stop chasing what everyone else wants. you start walking your own path. Learning to turn solitude into strength takes time. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even boring. But every moment spent in silence is an investment in your inner peace. With practice, solitude becomes your recharge station. It becomes the place you return to when life gets heavy. And every time you sit with yourself, you grow a little stronger. The goal is not to live alone, but to live connected, first with yourself, and then with others. When you know how to stand on your own, you can walk beside anyone without losing balance. That is real power. That is the gift of solitude. In the next chapter, we will explore how this inner strength leads to a deeper form of conversation, the one that happens not with others, but within yourself. Because the strongest people are not those who speak the loudest to the world. They are the ones who have learned to listen deeply to their own heart. Chapter 4. The Inner Conversation. There is a voice inside each of us that never stops speaking. It questions, it remembers, it hopes, it criticizes. Most of the time, we do not even realize how much it shapes our feelings. When we are surrounded by people, that voice is often drowned out, but when we are alone, it becomes louder. This is why solitude can feel uncomfortable. The silence outside forces us to face the noise within. The inner conversation is not the enemy. It is a mirror. It reflects the truth we often avoid. When you start listening to your own thoughts without fear, you begin to understand who you truly are. You might hear old wounds speaking. You might notice patterns of self-doubt or fear. At first, it may hurt. But this is the process of healing. Listening to yourself is the beginning of friendship with your own soul. Many people fill every quiet moment with noise, music, television, endless scrolling. They do this because silence feels heavy. But silence is not empty. It is full of answers. When you stop running from your thoughts, you give your heart space to breathe. You realize that your inner voice is not something to fight, it is something to guide. Start by observing your thoughts like clouds in the sky. Do not judge them. Just watch them pass. Say to yourself, I see you. I understand why you are here. This simple act builds peace within. Slowly, you will notice that not all thoughts deserve attention. Some are just echoes of fear or past pain. Others carry truth and wisdom. The art lies in knowing which to keep and which to let go. The more you practice talking kindly to yourself, the stronger your self-connection becomes. You stop depending on others to make you feel seen or heard. You realize you already have someone who understands you completely. That someone is you. The inner conversation also reveals your deepest desires. When the outside world is quiet, your intuition begins to speak. It tells you what matters most. It reminds you of dreams you have buried under responsibilities or fears. Listening to this voice can feel like rediscovering a forgotten friend. Do not fear being alone with your mind. Learn to make it your companion. Ask yourself gentle questions. What am I feeling right now? What do I need? What am I grateful for? These questions invite clarity and compassion. Over time, your inner world becomes your sanctuary. It is a place where you can retreat, reflect, and renew. You stop searching for validation from others because you find acceptance within. When you master the art of inner conversation, solitude no longer feels like isolation. It becomes a meeting with your truest self. It becomes a quiet dialogue that brings peace instead of pain. In the next chapter, we will explore how the beauty of simple moments can deepen this relationship with yourself. Because once the mind is calm, the heart starts noticing the small miracles hidden in everyday life. Chapter 5. The Beauty of Simple Moments. When life slows down, you begin to see what was always there but often overlooked. A cup of warm tea in your hands, the sound of rain on the window, the feeling of sunlight touching your skin. These moments seem small, yet they hold a quiet kind of magic. When you live with constant noise and hurry, you miss them. But when you learn to be alone, you start noticing the beauty hidden inside these simple things. The beauty of simple moments is not about luxury or perfection. It is about awareness. It is about being fully present in what you are doing. When you eat, truly taste your food. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you breathe, notice the rhythm of your breath. Every small act becomes sacred when you pay attention to it. Many people think happiness is something grand and distant. They believe it will come only when they achieve something big. But real happiness often hides in ordinary days. It waits quietly in the spaces you ignore while chasing something else. When you stop rushing, you discover that life has always been beautiful. You just needed to slow down enough to see it. Being alone gives you this gift of presence. You no longer need to impress anyone. You do not perform for the world. You simply exist. And in that existence, you find peace. Watching the sunrise, listening to birds, reading a book, smiling at your own thoughts. These are not small joys. They are reminders that life itself is enough. The more you embrace simplicity, the lighter your heart feels. You realize that peace does not come from having more. It comes from needing less. Every time you sit quietly and enjoy a simple moment, you teach your mind to rest. You tell it that everything is okay right now. You do not have to chase. You do not have to compare. You can just be. Sometimes people fear simplicity because it feels empty at first. They think they must fill every hour with something productive. But simplicity is not emptiness. It is space. And space allows beauty to breathe. Think of a flower. It needs open ground and sunlight to bloom. Your mind is the same. When you give it space, it blossoms. To appreciate simple moments is to live in gratitude. Gratitude turns an ordinary life into a meaningful one. It reminds you that joy does not depend on your situation, but on your attention. Even in solitude, you can find connection with nature, with your breath, with life itself. So the next time you are alone, slow down. Notice the scent of your morning coffee. Feel the comfort of your blanket. Watch how light moves across your room. These are not small things. They are life whispering to you. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into the healing power of silence. Because silence, when embraced with awareness, does not only calm the mind, it heals the heart too. Chapter 6. Healing Through Silence. Silence has a power that few truly understand. It is not just the absence of sound. It is a presence in itself. It is the space where your thoughts settle and your emotions begin to soften. In silence, the heart finds what the noise of the world hides: peace. Healing does not always happen through words or actions. Sometimes it happens when you simply sit still and let silence wrap around you. When you are surrounded by people, conversations, and responsibilities, your mind is constantly pulled in many directions. It rarely rests. But silence gives your mind a chance to breathe. It allows your inner voice to speak clearly. In that quiet, you start hearing truths that were buried under confusion or pain. You begin to notice the things you have ignored, feelings that need to be felt, wounds that need attention, dreams that need space. Many people fear silence because it brings them face to face with themselves. It exposes the emotions they have been avoiding. Loneliness, regret, sadness, all rise to the surface. But this is not a punishment. It is purification. When those feelings come, do not push them away. Sit with them. Listen to what they are trying to tell you. Every emotion, even the painful ones, carries a message. Silence helps you understand it. Healing through silence is not about escaping the world. It is about returning to yourself. It is like cleaning a room that has been cluttered for years. At first, the mess seems overwhelming. But slowly, piece by piece, the space becomes clear again. The same happens inside you. Silence clears the noise of judgment, comparison, and doubt. What remains is truth and lightness. You can begin this healing by creating small moments of quiet each day. Wake up a little earlier and sit with your breath. Turn off your phone for a while. Spend time in nature without music or distraction. Let the world's sounds fade away until you can hear your own heartbeat. That sound is your reminder that you are alive, that you are enough, and that peace is within reach. In silence, forgiveness also becomes possible. When you stop arguing with your thoughts and just listen, You realize that holding on to anger only hurts you. The quiet teaches compassion, for others and for yourself. It shows that not every wound needs to be explained or fixed. Some only need to be accepted and allowed to fade naturally. Silence is the bridge between your pain and your healing. It teaches you patience. It teaches you presence. And it reminds you that you are stronger than the noise of your past. As you walk deeper into silence, you will find a softer version of yourself waiting there, calm, clear, and kind. That is the self you meet when the world's volume is turned down. In the next chapter, we will explore how self-love grows from this stillness. Because once the noise fades, the most important relationship of your life begins, the one you have with your own heart. Chapter 7. Self-love, the foundation of inner peace. Self-love is not about arrogance or pride. It is about acceptance. It is the gentle decision to treat yourself with the same kindness you offer to others. Many people spend their whole lives seeking love from the outside. They chase approval. They try to prove their worth. But real peace begins when you stop begging for love and start giving it to yourself. When you love yourself, you create safety inside your own heart. You no longer depend on others to make you feel complete. You understand that your value does not come from appearance, success, or attention. It comes from simply being you. You are not broken or lacking. You are a whole human being who deserves care, rest, and compassion. Self-love is built through small, daily choices. It is saying no to things that drain you. It is resting when you are tired instead of pushing yourself to please everyone. It is forgiving yourself for past mistakes instead of punishing yourself for being human. When you speak kindly to yourself, you heal the inner wounds that once made you feel unworthy. Many of us learn to criticize ourselves because we thought it made us stronger. But harshness does not build strength. It builds shame. Real strength grows from understanding and patience. Self-love does not mean ignoring your flaws. It means accepting them while continuing to grow. You say to yourself, I may not be perfect, but I am learning. I am enough today. When you practice self-love, your relationship with the world changes too. You stop chasing people who do not see your value. You stop comparing your path with someone else's. You become grounded in who you are. This calm confidence radiates peace. Others feel it, and it draws the right kind of people toward you. Those who respect your energy. Self-love also means taking care of your body and mind. Eat when you are hungry. Sleep when you are exhausted. Move your body not to punish it, but to celebrate it. Speak words to yourself that build rather than break. Every act of self-care is a declaration that you matter. The most beautiful part of self-love is that it turns loneliness into peace. When you truly love yourself, you enjoy your own company. You do not fear being alone because you no longer feel empty inside. You sit with yourself as you would with a dear friend, with warmth, curiosity, and respect. It takes time to build this foundation. Some days you may fall back into old habits of doubt or guilt. That is okay. Love is a practice, not a one-time decision. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep speaking gently to your heart. When self-love becomes your foundation, you walk through life with calm strength. You stop searching for peace, because peace lives within you. In the next chapter, we will see how solitude helps you discover your deeper purpose. Because once you accept yourself fully, you are ready to explore why you are here and what gives your life meaning. Chapter 8. Finding Purpose in Solitude. Solitude is not just a space for rest. It is also a space for discovery. When the noise of the world fades, your inner voice becomes clear. That voice often carries the message of purpose, the quiet truth of why you are here and what you are meant to do. Everyone has a purpose, but most people never hear it because they are too busy listening to everything outside of them. Purpose does not always come in a dramatic revelation. It often begins as a whisper. It might appear as curiosity towards something new, or a gentle pull in a certain direction. When you are alone, you have the time and silence to notice these whispers. You begin to ask deeper questions. What makes me come alive? What feels meaningful to me? What do I want to give to the world? Solitude allows you to listen without distraction. You realize that purpose is not just about achievement. It is about alignment. It means living in harmony with your values, your passions, and your truth. When you do things that feel authentic, even small actions bring joy. You no longer live to impress. You live to express. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with being lost. But solitude does not mean you are lost. It means you are searching within. And the answers you find there are far more powerful than anything the outside world can offer. The more time you spend with yourself, the clearer your inner compass becomes. You begin to see what truly matters and what does not. Sometimes, purpose is not about doing something grand. It can be as simple as being kind, creating beauty, or bringing peace to those around you. It might be raising a child with love, helping others heal, or creating something that inspires. Your purpose does not have to be loud to be real. It only needs to be honest. Solitude also helps you reconnect with your natural rhythm. In a busy world, people are constantly chasing time. But when you are alone, you move at your own pace. You begin to understand what energizes you and what drains you. You make choices that support your well-being. Living with purpose means living intentionally, choosing what adds meaning instead of following what adds pressure. Finding purpose is not a final destination. It is a journey that unfolds as you grow. Each season of your life will reveal a new layer of meaning. The more you accept yourself, the more clearly your purpose will shine through you. So, use solitude as your teacher. Sit in quiet reflection. Journal your thoughts. Walk in nature and ask your heart what it wants. The answers may not come immediately, but they will come. When you live with purpose, loneliness loses its grip. You stop wandering aimlessly because your days begin to carry direction and depth. In the next chapter, we will explore how to create a life that feels full, even when you are on your own. Because purpose gives direction, but fulfillment gives life its color and joy. Chapter 9. Creating a life that feels full. A full life does not depend on how many people surround you or how much you own. It depends on how deeply you connect with your moments. When you are alone, it is easy to believe that something is missing. You might look at others and think they have more. More friends, more success, more happiness. But fullness is not about quantity. It is about quality. It is about how present you are in your own story. To create a life that feels full, you must first understand what emptiness truly is. Emptiness is not the absence of people or things. It is the absence of connection. You can be in a crowded room and still feel lonely if you are not connected to yourself. Likewise, you can sit alone and feel complete when you are in tune with your own heart. Start by asking yourself what brings genuine joy. Not temporary excitement, but real, lasting contentment. It could be creating something, learning, cooking, helping someone, or simply watching the sunset. Fill your days with these small moments of meaning. They become threads that weave a rich, satisfying life. Gratitude is another key to fullness. When you focus on what you already have instead of what you lack, you shift your energy. Gratitude turns ordinary days into blessings. It reminds you that even the simplest moments, a breath of fresh air, a good meal, a kind message, are gifts. When you begin to notice them, you realize your life is already full in many ways. Creating fullness also means building rituals that nourish you. Wake up with intention. Begin your morning with something peaceful, a walk, journaling, or quiet meditation. In the evening, slow down and reflect. Ask yourself what made you smile that day. These small practices create rhythm and meaning, turning solitude into a sanctuary rather than a cage. A full life also includes giving. When you contribute to something beyond yourself, you expand your sense of purpose. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, make you feel part of something greater. You realize that even when you are alone, you still have the power to impact others through compassion and love. To feel full, let go of the belief that happiness must come from constant activity or companionship. Sometimes fullness comes from stillness, from sitting quietly and feeling grateful just to exist. When you stop chasing what you do not have, your heart opens to everything you already do. It is also important to surround yourself with what inspires you. Read books that feed your soul. Spend time in nature. Listen to music that uplifts your mood. Decorate your space in a way that makes you feel calm and safe. Your environment can become a reflection of your inner peace. A full life is not about perfection. It is about balance. It is about creating harmony between action and rest, giving and receiving, doing and simply being. When your days carry meaning, even your quiet moments feel alive. In the next chapter, we will learn how to protect this fullness by setting healthy boundaries with the world. Because to stay whole, you must know when to say yes and when to gently say no. Chapter 10. Setting Boundaries with the World. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges that protect your peace while allowing healthy connection. Without boundaries, the world can easily overwhelm you. People's demands, expectations, and opinions can drain your energy and blur your sense of self. Learning to set boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect. It is how you tell the world, this is who I am. This is what I can give. And this is where I need space. When you spend time alone, you begin to notice what feels good for your soul and what doesn't. You become more aware of how certain people or environments affect your energy. Some interactions lift you up. Others leave you feeling exhausted. Boundaries help you protect your emotional energy so that you can live with clarity and strength. Many people struggle to set boundaries because they fear disappointing others. They say yes when they want to say no. They overextend themselves to be liked or accepted. But every time you ignore your own needs, you teach others that your comfort is less important than theirs. Over time, this leads to resentment and burnout. Healthy boundaries begin with honesty. Be honest with yourself about what you can handle. If something feels heavy or forced, give yourself permission to step back. Saying no does not make you unkind. It makes you real. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Protecting your peace allows you to give your best self to others when you choose to. Silence can be a powerful boundary. You do not have to explain or justify every decision. Sometimes the quiet act of walking away from chaos is the strongest statement you can make. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling your access to peace. You can create boundaries in many areas: time, emotions, relationships, even technology. Set times when you disconnect from devices and reconnect with yourself. Choose which conversations you want to be part of. Limit contact with people who constantly bring negativity. Create space in your day where the world cannot reach you. In that protected space, your mind and heart recharge. The beauty of solitude is that it teaches you self-awareness. When you know what brings you peace, it becomes easier to defend it. You stop seeking approval for every decision. You begin to live according to your values, not others' expectations. That freedom is one of the greatest gifts of being alone. Remember that boundaries are not cold or rigid. They are flexible and compassionate. You can care deeply for others while still caring for yourself. You can help people without losing your balance. Love does not mean giving everything until you are empty. True love, for yourself and others, thrives where boundaries exist. When you honor your limits, life becomes lighter. You stop feeling controlled by the world and start living with choice. You feel calmer, more grounded, and more authentic. In the next chapter, we will explore something equally powerful: the art of doing nothing. Because once you have created space with boundaries, you can finally rest in that space without guilt and rediscover the beauty of simply being. Chapter 11. The Art of Doing Nothing. In a world that celebrates constant motion, doing nothing feels strange. We are taught to measure our worth by productivity, to always be moving, achieving, improving. But doing nothing is not laziness. It is an essential art. It is a pause that restores your energy, clears your mind, and reconnects you with the rhythm of life. When you learn to be still without guilt, you discover peace hidden beneath all the noise. Doing nothing does not mean being careless or unmotivated. It means allowing yourself to rest fully without trying to fix or achieve anything. It is giving yourself permission to exist without purpose for a moment. It is sitting by the window, watching clouds drift by. It is breathing deeply without rushing to the next task. It is the stillness that allows your spirit to recover. Most people fill their days with endless distractions because they fear what silence might bring. They are afraid of boredom, afraid of thoughts that might surface, afraid of being unproductive. But boredom can be beautiful. It creates space for creativity to bloom. When the mind is quiet, it begins to wander freely. Some of the best ideas, insights, and moments of peace appear when you stop forcing and simply allow. When you practice doing nothing, you teach your body and mind to slow down. You begin to notice the subtle details of life, the sound of the wind, the warmth of sunlight, the gentle rhythm of your own heartbeat. You realize that the world does not collapse when you stop. Time continues to flow, and you remain part of it. At first, doing nothing may feel uncomfortable. You might feel the urge to check your phone, make plans, or fill the quiet with something. But stay. Sit through that discomfort. Let yourself just be. This practice strengthens your inner calm. It reminds you that your value is not tied to your productivity. You are worthy simply because you exist. There is a kind of healing that happens only in stillness. When you stop running, your emotions catch up. You can feel them, understand them, and release them. You give yourself space to reset. In doing nothing, you create room for everything that truly matters: rest, clarity, and peace. Nature understands this rhythm well. Trees do not rush to grow. Rivers do not fight their flow. Seasons come and go in their own time. You too are part of that natural rhythm. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to rest. Start by giving yourself small moments each day to do nothing. 5 minutes of quiet breathing. Sitting with a cup of tea and simply watching the world. Slowly, you will begin to feel the power of stillness. It will no longer feel like emptiness, but like fullness. A quiet presence that nourishes you. Doing nothing helps you reconnect with yourself and your surroundings. It brings balance to the constant doing of modern life. It reminds you that peace is not found in activity, but in awareness. In the next chapter, we will learn how to turn this stillness into joy, by discovering how to truly enjoy your own company, to sit with yourself, not as a stranger, but as a friend. Chapter 12. Learning to enjoy your own company. There is a quiet kind of joy that comes when you begin to enjoy your own company. It is the moment when solitude no longer feels like punishment, but like freedom. You stop feeling the need to escape yourself. You start feeling at home within your own skin. This is one of the most beautiful stages of being alone, when you realize that your presence is enough. Enjoying your own company begins with acceptance. Many people avoid solitude because they do not like who they are with when they are alone. They carry guilt, fear, or self-doubt, and silence makes those feelings louder. But the more time you spend with yourself, the more you learn to soften toward those parts. You stop judging your flaws and start understanding them. You begin to see yourself not as a problem to be fixed, but as a person to be loved. Spending time alone gives you the chance to explore your interests without pressure. You can read what you like, walk where you please, create, rest, or dream without compromise. There is no need to explain or adjust. You begin to rediscover your natural rhythm. How you like your mornings, what kind of music moves you, what hobbies calm your mind. These small discoveries build a sense of joy and self-trust. To enjoy your own company, treat yourself as you would a friend. Speak kindly to yourself. Encourage your heart. Celebrate your small wins. When you make a mistake, forgive yourself. Plan small dates with yourself. A walk in nature, a cozy evening with a favorite book, or a quiet coffee in your favorite place. These moments remind you that your companionship is valuable. The more time you spend with yourself, the more confident you become in who you are. You stop looking for constant validation from others. You realize that your worth does not depend on anyone's attention or approval. You learn that you can feel complete even in your own presence. At first, being alone may feel strange because the world teaches us that happiness must come from relationships and social life. But once you taste the peace of being with yourself, you understand that solitude is not loneliness. It is connection. Connection with your thoughts, your emotions, and your spirit. When you enjoy your own company, you also become better at relationships. You no longer cling out of fear or emptiness. You share love, not need. You bring wholeness, not dependence. The love you give comes from abundance, not from lack. Try spending a few hours each week doing something you enjoy without company. Notice how it feels. At first, it may seem uncomfortable, but slowly that discomfort will turn into comfort. That silence will turn into companionship. That time will become sacred. Enjoying your own company is one of the purest forms of peace. It means you have built a home inside yourself, a place where you can return anytime, anywhere, and feel safe. In the next chapter, we will explore how loneliness, when embraced with creativity, can transform into inspiration. Because sometimes, the moments when you feel most alone are the moments when your imagination wakes up and begins to create light out of quiet. Chapter 13. Turning loneliness into creativity. There is a strange power hidden inside loneliness, a quiet spark waiting to become light. When we stop running from our loneliness and begin to sit with it, we find that it holds endless creative energy. Many of the world's greatest works, art, music, poetry, inventions, were born from moments of solitude. Loneliness, when embraced with awareness, becomes a gateway to imagination. When you are surrounded by noise, your mind is too busy reacting to others. But in silence, something magical happens. The distractions fade. You begin to listen, not to the world, but to the whispers inside your own heart. Ideas that were buried under noise start to surface. Emotions that were unspoken begin to take form through words, colors, or melodies. Loneliness gives you the space to hear your soul speak. Creativity thrives when there is room to breathe. Think of solitude as a creative studio for your mind. It's a place where you can explore without judgment, experiment without fear, and express without limits. Whether it's writing, painting, cooking, designing, or even building something new. Being alone allows you to dive deeply into what you love without interruption. Instead of viewing loneliness as emptiness, see it as a blank canvas. A canvas waiting for you to fill it with meaning. When you turn loneliness into creation, you transform pain into beauty, silence into sound, and isolation into connection. Your creativity becomes a bridge, connecting your inner world with the outer world. Many people fear solitude because they believe it will expose their sadness. But what if sadness is simply a messenger? A signal from your inner self, asking you to create, to express, to release. When you channel those emotions into something creative, you give them purpose. You take control of them instead of letting them control you. Remember, creativity does not always mean producing art for others. It means shaping your life in a way that reflects your truth. You can decorate your space, write in your journal, compose music, or simply cook a meal with love. All of it is creation. Every act of mindful expression is a victory over loneliness. There will be times when inspiration seems far away. That is okay. Creativity flows like waves, sometimes strong, sometimes calm. The key is to stay present with yourself. Let your solitude be your teacher, not your enemy. In those moments of stillness, you may realize that the universe is quietly creating through you. When you transform loneliness into creativity, you no longer see isolation as darkness. You see it as fertile soil where new ideas, new dreams, and new versions of yourself can grow. You stop fearing silence because you know it holds the seeds of your next masterpiece, the masterpiece of your own becoming. In the next chapter, we will explore connection without dependency, how to build deep relationships while keeping your inner freedom alive. Because once you've learned to create from your solitude, you can finally share yourself with others from a place of fullness, not need. Chapter 14. Connection without dependency. True connection does not come from needing someone. It comes from choosing to share your fullness with them. When we depend on others to fill the emptiness inside us, relationships become heavy. We cling, we demand, we fear loss. But when we learn to be whole on our own, connection becomes light, free, and genuine. It turns into a beautiful exchange of energy, not a desperate trade of needs. To build connection without dependency, we must first understand that love and freedom can exist together. Many people believe that being deeply connected means giving up parts of themselves. They mold their personality, their opinions, and even their dreams to please others. But real connection thrives only when both people stay true to who they are. When you bring your authentic self to a relationship, you invite the other person to do the same. It begins with self-awareness. When you know your emotional needs and understand your triggers, you stop expecting others to heal what you have not yet faced. Instead of looking for someone to complete you, you look for someone to walk beside you. This shift transforms relationships from dependency into companionship. Healthy connection feels peaceful, not draining. It gives you space to breathe, to grow, to express. You do not lose yourself in it. You expand within it. You can enjoy deep conversations, laughter, and affection without the fear of being abandoned or rejected. Why? Because your sense of worth no longer depends on someone else's attention. It is rooted inside you. Dependency often comes from fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being loved. Fear of not being enough. But love built on fear is fragile. It demands constant reassurance. It creates invisible chains between people. To break these chains, practice detachment with love. This does not mean being cold or distant. It means caring deeply while knowing that every soul must walk its own path. You can love someone and still give them space. You can support them without trying to control their journey. This kind of love is mature. It allows both people to evolve. It teaches that the best way to keep someone close is not to hold them tightly, but to hold them with trust. When you live this way, relationships become sacred mirrors. They reflect who you are and help you grow, but they no longer define your value. You stop fearing endings because you understand that every connection serves a purpose. Some to teach, some to inspire, some to remind you of your strength. To experience connection without dependency, begin by filling your own cup. Do the things that make you feel alive. Build your inner peace. Create a life you love. Then, when you meet others, you will connect from abundance, not lack. You will share joy instead of seeking rescue. In the next chapter, we will enter a quieter space, spiritual awakening in solitude. Once you have learned to love without dependency, solitude begins to reveal its deepest gift. It shows you that you were never truly alone. You were always connected to something greater, to life itself. Chapter 15. Spiritual Awakening in Solitude. There comes a moment in solitude when silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling sacred. You begin to sense that there is something greater than you, not outside, but within. This is the beginning of spiritual awakening. It is not about religion or rituals. It is about awareness. It is the quiet realization that you are not just a person living a life. You are life itself, flowing through every breath, every thought, every heartbeat. In the stillness of being alone, the mind starts to slow down. The endless chatter of worries and comparisons begins to fade. You start to see yourself more clearly, beyond your name, your story, or your past. This clarity feels like light breaking through fog. You notice the beauty in small things, the way sunlight touches your hand, the rhythm of your breath, the peace in a single moment. These are not just details. They are doorways into presence. Solitude allows you to listen to the voice of your soul, a voice that is often drowned out by the noise of the world. When you give it space, it speaks softly, guiding you toward truth. It tells you that everything you seek, love, peace, happiness, already exists inside you. You just need to be still enough to feel it. This is not a lesson the mind can learn. It is something the heart remembers. During spiritual awakening, you begin to see that nothing is truly separate. The trees, the sky, the people you meet, everything is connected by the same life force. This realization fills you with compassion. You stop judging and start understanding. You no longer crave control because you trust the flow of life. You realize that being alone is not a punishment, but a path to freedom. Freedom from illusion, fear, and attachment. Sometimes, this awakening brings tears. It can be overwhelming to see how much love the world has always been offering you. You may laugh and cry at the same time, feeling lighter than ever. You start to see every challenge as a teacher, every silence as a prayer, and every day as a blessing. Spiritual solitude does not mean running away from people or responsibilities. It means carrying inner peace wherever you go. You can sit in a busy room and still feel calm. You can face chaos and still act with kindness. This is the power of awakening. It transforms your loneliness into connection with everything. As your awareness deepens, gratitude becomes your natural state. You no longer ask life for more. You simply say, "Thank you for what is." Gratitude turns ordinary moments into miracles. In the next and final chapter, we will explore living whole and free. Because the journey of solitude is not only about peace within. It is about bringing that peace into the world, living with openness, authenticity, and joy. Chapter 16. Living whole and free. To live whole and free is to come full circle, from loneliness to peace, from searching to being. It is the moment when you realize that you no longer need to escape yourself or chase happiness. You have become your own home. Everything you were looking for, love, meaning, fulfillment, now lives within you. And because of that, you can move through the world with calm confidence. Wholeness does not mean perfection. It means acceptance. You stop fighting with your past and start embracing it as part of your story. Every wound, every mistake, every heartbreak has shaped your wisdom. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to be someone else and simply allow yourself to be who you are. When you live this way, peace becomes your natural rhythm. Freedom is also about letting go, of control, of expectations, of the need to prove anything. You start to trust life again. You understand that everything unfolds in its own time. You no longer rush. You no longer cling. You flow. And in that flow, you find an effortless joy that no achievement or possession can match. Living whole and free also means creating balance between solitude and connection. You can enjoy your own company and still open your heart to others. You no longer seek relationships to fill your emptiness, but to share your completeness. You can walk alone without fear, and walk with others without losing yourself. This balance is the art of emotional freedom, loving deeply but lightly. To live whole is to live mindfully. You become more present in small moments. The sound of rain, the smile of a stranger, the feeling of morning air. You stop waiting for some future event to make you happy, and start living fully in the now. This awareness turns every ordinary day into something sacred. When you live from wholeness, your energy changes. People feel peace around you because you no longer demand anything from them. You radiate quiet strength, the kind that comes from knowing who you are and being at ease with it. You become an anchor in a restless world. True freedom is not about having everything. It is about needing less. It is about walking lightly through life, unburdened by comparison or desire. You can still dream, still achieve, still love deeply, but your happiness no longer depends on the outcome. You live guided by trust rather than fear. In solitude, you discovered your essence. In silence, you met your truth. Now, in freedom, you live as your truest self, open, grounded, and alive. You realize that being alone was never the end of the story. It was the beginning of your awakening. You are whole. You are free. And you carry within you the greatest gift. The peace of knowing that you belong, not to someone else, not to a place, but to life itself. This is the art of being alone without feeling lonely. It is not about escaping the world, but about returning to it with a quiet heart and an open soul, ready to love, to live, and to simply be. Epilogue. The quiet joy of being. When the noise of the world fades and you sit quietly with yourself, something beautiful happens. You realize that life has always been whispering to you. It was there in the wind, in the laughter of strangers, in the stillness between heartbeats. You were never truly alone, only learning to listen. The journey of being alone without feeling lonely is not about building walls. It is about opening doors inside you. Each moment of solitude has been guiding you toward your truth, your peace, your freedom. You have learned that loneliness was never your enemy. It was your teacher, gentle, patient, and wise. Now you walk differently. There is a calm strength in your steps, a soft light in your eyes. You no longer run from silence. You welcome it. You no longer crave approval. You trust yourself. You no longer seek to be completed. You already are. This is what it means to return home, not to a place, but to your own presence. You have become your own companion, your own healer, your own friend. You can sit alone and feel the quiet joy of being alive. You can face uncertainty and still feel safe, because your peace no longer depends on what happens outside. As you carry this understanding into the world, everything changes. Relationships feel lighter. Work feels more meaningful. Even challenges become opportunities to grow. You no longer measure your life by what you gain or lose, but by how deeply you live each moment. Wholeness is not a destination. It is a way of being. Choosing love over fear, presence over distraction, gratitude over complaint. Every time you pause, breathe, and return to yourself, you honor that wholeness again. So take this quiet wisdom with you. Walk gently, speak kindly, listen deeply. Let the peace you have found in solitude flow into everything you touch. And when life becomes noisy again, remember, the stillness you seek is already within you. Close your eyes, breathe, and come home to yourself. That is the art of being alone without feeling lonely. It is not about finding the right person or the right place. It is about becoming the right presence, whole, awake, and free.